All the while, church leadership kept records of the abuse and the cover-up. These documents from the diocese's own secret archives formed the backbone of this investigation.
Ready for another set of interviews done by Safe to Serve's Tell It to the World. Today we're talking about a crazy topic, the Catholic Church's sex scandal that has been taking place over 70 years in Pennsylvania. And we're going to bring this topic downtown Orlando to see what the folks down here have to say about this one. And of course, after we're done, we're going to be sharing with them the great controversy, the National Sunday Law, and the Sabbath Tract. So stay tuned.
All right, so I'm here with John in downtown Orlando. Yep. John, have you heard about the Roman Catholic Church's sex abuse scandal that was going on in Pennsylvania recently?
Actually, I have not until I met you.
All right. So I'm going to show you this headline here. It's from the Daily Beast. And it says, Vatican's response to 1,000 children abused by priests. And it says, no comment. So pretty much there was a report that was over 1,000 pages long in which it detailed how 1,000 children were abused by 300 priests over a 70-year period. This was going on in Pennsylvania in 6 of their 8 dioceses. And it just outlines some really disgusting things that happened to these children. And this paragraph, could you read that for me, please?
Sure. It catalogs horrific instances of abuse. A priest who raped a young girl in the hospital after she had her tonsils out, a victim tied up and whipped with leather straps by a priest, another priest who was allowed to stay in ministry after impregnating a young girl and arranging for her to have an abortion.
Now, this was what happened to just a few of the victims, and this right here comes from, the New York Times. And it goes on to say this, that the report also said some church leaders covered up the crimes, shuffling priests from rehab centers to parishes, giving no notice to parents or civil authorities. So it was a whole cover-up that was going on here in Pennsylvania.
So, Michelle, what are your thoughts on the fact that they are calling what seems to be the biggest investigation by the U.S. government into the Catholic Church on this sex scandal?
I just think it's horrible and disgusting. And they probably should find different ways to avoid these situations, like maybe allowing priests to get married or something so they wouldn't have to hide their sexual feelings or something. It's just horrible because everybody humanly has them. And if they're not allowed to get married, then they find other ways to hide it and do these horrible things to people. That's what I think. It's just disgusting. It's horrible.
It's something that I find quite appalling considering what the church is preaching constantly about being holy and about just the complete opposite of what they're doing. And to think that it's been happening for the past 70 years is quite boggling. And I feel dumbfounded by the fact that they would allow for something like this to happen for so long. And especially just like the heinous acts that they've been doing, especially to the children. I don't know, like tying people up and someone that's recovering in the hospital. It's just something that I would feel something out of a movie almost. I can't really.
Something kind of surreal, right?
Yeah, I don't want to believe it, but it's unfortunately true.
Well, Anissa, what's sad is that this is not just an isolated issue in Pennsylvania. It just happened to come out and break out in Pennsylvania, but there have been other instances. And I want to show you some of those instances here. From Associated Press, it says a Catholic bishop in Australia was convicted by a civil court of covering up abuse. And the Vatican has accepted the resignation of 6 other bishops from Latin America after church investigation. So the fact that they're resigning shows that, okay, well, I'm not going to hide what's going on. It's true, right? Because of course you would defend something like that, right?
Absolutely.
It went on to say that priests and bishops around the world have abused Catholic nuns as well as sisters for decades. So again, this is not just an isolated issue. This is not just one instance of this issue happening, abuse happening within the Catholic Church.
Right. No. It goes on to say here in the Irish Times that a Vatican official was pressured to protect incriminating church documents from civil authorities in the year 2003. Catholic bishops, they have launched investigations into sexual misconduct in seminaries in Boston, Nebraska, and Philadelphia. It says here, this is most recent, the former Archbishop of Washington resigned from the College of Cardinals after accusations that he molested seminarians and an altar boy. So in your opinion, just based upon the things you've heard, and if you've heard anything else in the past, what should be done to remedy these issues and to prevent them from happening?
I think it's got to start from the top. This is not something that can be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. There's always been jokes about the Cardinals and what they do to the altar boys, and in every bit of humor, there's always a lot of truth. So it's been going on for so long, they can't start at the top. They're at the bottom. They have to start right at the top, and they have to try and figure out a way to. I don't know. You can't even do a mental.
Assessment?
Like a psychological exam, because, there's ways to affect those two. And I think, given the responsibility that these people have, they're supposed to be trusting. People are supposed to trust them, and I don't feel like anybody can. And it's a broad spectrum, but it happens so much. You can't put one finger in one pie. It's a lot of people feel the same way about it. So I don't think they're ever going to be able to get rid of that.
And I like how you said that it's it needs to come from the leadership, because it can't be a case-by-case issue. And it really can be, because it is a systemic issue. And here from the Washington Post, it details how Catholics view this situation that just came out in Pennsylvania. And they had a wide range of views. So here, there are some Catholics who just can't be shocked anymore, because, it happens so often. B, those who are newly grieved by hearing this. C, those who feel that Catholics are unfairly singled out, and D, those who maintain their faith in the religion, but not its leaders. So you have just heard about this child sexual abuse scandal that was going on in Pennsylvania. Which one of these categories would you say you fall in?
A, and it's sad. I can't be shocked, because you do hear about it in the past. I never heard about the Pennsylvania one as yet, but between the move from South Africa to hearing that, I haven't really been in touch with a lot of things. But I've heard so much about it in the past that it's just sad. It really is.
I don't really think I follow, I don't fall in one of them in particular. I think it's very sad that we've reached a point where, A exists, those who can't be shocked anymore.
Yeah, people are desensitized.
Which, again, that goes to show you that, a problem needs to be solved, and needs to be solved rather quickly. As far as, B, that's, I guess, if you don't really pay attention to the news, or, or if you kind of, sideline yourself from that issues. And then C and D, I don't really, I don't get too much into religion, but I think as far as, I think it's like an individual thing. I think it's, what path are you wanting to lead as your own person? We look at these leaders, and yes, they're leaders, and yes, some are elected, some are put into power through their education, through their certification, through, being appointed leaders. But we are our own leaders, and it takes, it takes all of us going down the right path, making the right decisions, and being able to identify what's wrong to make sure that leadership isn't corrupted like this.
So judging from that list, Anissa, where would you fall in that bracket?
I would honestly lose faith, considering what has been preached to me my whole life. Say if I were Catholic and I was preached this holy word my entire life, and to see something like this happen in my own house of worship, I would lose all types of faith, honestly. And I would feel so hurt for those who have been affected by this. I just can't even fathom what they must be going through.
Wow. And the Washington Post went on to report that the Catholic Church now has lost more members in recent decades than any other major faith. Yeah. About 27% of former Catholics who no longer identify with the religion cited the reason why they left is because of clergy sexual abuse scandals, they say. They're saying we're sick, we're sick and tired of this.
Yeah, I would definitely leave. There's no reason to stay at that point. And I don't know, to be even affiliated with that, I would feel so embarrassed myself. So,
and it's interesting because, if you're going to these, these masses, these churches, for you, Anissa, how would you feel knowing that your leader, who's supposed to be a representative of God, is, undercover abusing children, that you are attending church with? So again, it's quite appalling of what's going on right now. But, where I stand on it is that, personally, I'm, again, sickened, I'm just disgusted at the very fact that children are involved because they're so innocent. They don't, they're looking up to us as adults, especially religious leaders, as religious figures, especially those who represent God himself. Absolutely. And the children don't know any better. So when they're abused now, they grow up with that mentality that, I'm now broken because I was abused and I can't be changed. You know what I mean? That's why it leads to such things like, homosexuality and other issues like that, because again, the mind is broken. Yes. You know what I mean? And
it's crazy because normally people would turn to religion. Say if you were to be raped or molested or go through this type of torture or trauma, people do turn to religion to seek shelter, and to consider the combination of this trauma in your house of worship is like just one of the worst situations I can imagine for someone, especially a child being so broken like that. It's detrimental. It's absolutely awful.
And I just want to share with you, Brad, my views on this issue. And it's somewhat similar to yours in the sense that it is sad that, these priests are doing this. Because for me, the worst part about it is these priests are harming these children who, many of them can't have a normal life after this. Maybe they may turn to the homosexual community. Maybe they might be predators themselves when they get older. But the worst thing for me is that a lot of people, even some of these victims, may never, ever want to have a relationship with God because of it. Because the priests, who are supposed to be representatives of God to the people, are worse than the common person by doing these things. And so these people some of them would hate God because of that, even though that's not even God's character. And that's the thing that really irks my soul. So, seeing, again, what you've heard so far based on this issue in the Roman Catholic Church, specifically in Pennsylvania, do you think that the Catholic Church will ever change?
I don't think so. I'm more on the Christian side of things. I've actually just started going to church myself when we moved here. And I don't know, I was always afraid of religion for one reason or another. I'm sure that was probably part of it, but the church where I am now is amazing, and it's not Catholic. So we've actually had people from the Catholic Church come to our church now. So I don't think it's ever going to change.
And that falls right in line with Pew Research. People are leaving the church, the Catholic Church specifically. But the Bible actually does identify the Roman Catholic Church in prophecy. In Revelation 13, the first beast that is outlined from verse 1 through verse 11, is the Roman Catholic Church. But what's interesting, the Bible calls this beast a leopard-like beast. And when you compare that with Jeremiah 13, verse 23, it says a leopard cannot change his spots. And so what that means is the Catholic Church will never change. It will never change. But there are faithful Catholics who God is going to save because they're searching for truth. And God is going to call them out and reveal to them truth as he lives according to the Bible. And, he's going to fortify and make a people who are going to stand and cry against these abuses, not just done in the Catholic Church, but in the world, so that he can have a pure people. And I want to be one of those people, and I pray you all as well. So what we're going to do is leave you with this article here, speaking about this subject in detail. You can read up on that. And here is a gift showing how history is being repeated. The book Great Controversy is a powerful book that just outlines some of the major events that have happened in history and the significance that it has for us today. All right. Any other comments?
No, well, I wish things would get better. And I'm sure, maybe not in this life, but in the next one, things will. It's just sad that we have to wait that long.
All right. Yes, thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you, Brad, right? Yeah.
So friends, you heard the responses of the people in downtown Orlando responding to the atrocities that were taking place under the supervision of the Roman Catholic priests in the state of Pennsylvania. Now, we know that the world right now is shining light on the sins of the Roman Catholic Church. And likewise, God's people are also called to lay open the sins of Babylon. Now, don't forget to follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram page. Until next time.